Devin Nunes calls for the immediate arrest of John Kerry for treason, and they have found everything. John Kerry's legacy is permanently damaged because of his association and employment with the Obama administration. There have always been questions regarding the work he has done, especially in reference to the Iran deal, which he helped author and was terrible for the American people. Now members of Congress have found him responsible for even worse crimes, and it is all coming apart at the seams. Devin Nunes, chairman of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, is calling for Kerry, the former Secretary of State, to be arrested for Logan Action violations, a 1799 law that to this day nobody has been arrested or charged with. This latest update came after the Boston Globe reported that Kerry was looking to save the Iran deal. Devin Nunes tweets, "Oh my God, Logan Act violations. Send in the G-men." For those of you who don't understand what the Logan Act really is, this is what it promulgates in reference to private correspondence with foreign governments. Any citizen of the United States, wherever he may be, or without authority of the United States, directly or indirectly commences or carries on any correspondence or intercourse with any foreign government or any officer or agent thereof, with intent to influence the measures of conduct of any foreign government or of any officer or agent thereof in relation to any disputes or controversies with the United States, or to defeat the measures of the United States, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not for more than 3 years, or both. This section shall not abridge the right of a citizen to apply himself or his agent to any foreign government or the agents thereof for redress of any injury which he have may sustained from such government or any of its agents or subjects. While Democrats seem to ignore and are busy pointing the finger at Republicans and the current administration regarding the Trump-Russian Mueller investigation, it appears they have plenty of criminality of their own. What they need to do is take responsibility for it instead of pointing their fingers at Republicans. They have plenty of blame to accept for themselves, and there comes a time when enough is enough, and enough is enough. Meanwhile, Tom Fitton, who heads the conservative watchdog group Judicial Watch, Kerry making quiet play to save Iran deal with foreign leaders report, "I'm waiting for the left to scream treason and for Sally Yates to invoke the Logan Act and demand a criminal investigation." He was referring to former acting Attorney General Sally Yates, who was cornered that former Trump National Security Advisor Michael Flynn had violated the Logan Act during the presidential transition period after he discussed policy issues with a Russian envoy. Of course, now in my earlier articles, we know that General Jeff Sessions has invoked the Fifth for Michael Flynn. The Logan Act is a more than 200-year-old law under which no one has ever been prosecuted that prohibits private citizens from acting on behalf of the U.S. in disputes with foreign governments. President Trump, who has until May 12th of 2018 to decide whether to continue on with the agreement, seeks changes, or abandon it, has indicated he intends to pull out of the Iran deal altogether, provided it is not altered, despite the protestations of European allies. Democrats need to come to terms with the fact that they lost the 2016 presidential election, and there is no going back. They can't interfere now, whether it is with the Iran deal, North Korea, Russia, or anybody or anything else for that matter. Their time is up. They have had their chance, and they floundered it. Now it's time for the real professionals to come and clean up the mess. Devin Nunes drops the hammer on Hillary Clinton with 7 big-time words. There is only one real scandal about collusion during the 2016 campaign, and it has nothing to do with Donald Trump. During an interview on Fox News channel, Devin Nunes dropped the hammer on Hillary Clinton with 7 endearing words. Nunes appeared on Hannity to discuss the recent developments in the Russian investigation. Representative Nunes was responding to the Democrats' political memo, which ended up being nothing more than talking points designed to distract from the real scandal, the fact that the FBI used a fake news dossier paid for by the Clinton campaign to spy on President Trump's campaign. The warrant allowed the FBI to look at emails and texts while Carter Page was a member of the Trump campaign.
We've had allegation after allegation after allegation, Trump-Russia collusion. Is there any evidence to date of any Trump-Russia collusion of any kind that you or anybody on your committee or anybody in the FBI or Department of Justice or Robert Mueller's investigation has come up with that you have seen?
Not that I've seen. And the only collusion that I continue to say that I have seen and we have proof of is that the Democrats hired a British agent, former British agent, who went to supposed Russians to get dirt on the Trump campaign. I mean, it is collusion. It's clear collusion, and nobody's investigating it, and nobody's talking about it.
In other words, ladies and gentlemen, there are only two ways that you can go about explaining all of this mess. One way is that Steele talked to people who worked for the government who shared information they weren't supposed to, in the way that a media outlet might talk to a source in the White House who talks under the cover of anonymity. The other way it could be read is that the government officials were using Steele to spread misinformation deliberately. Thank you.
Yes, today at noon I spent 3 hours with investigators in the special counsel's office.
What did you learn?
I learned they're still looking at Russian collusion. They're still looking for it. While I wouldn't be asked about charges of obstruction or asked about financial crimes, I was there during the time when they believed that Russian collusion was initiated. That would be the only thing that they would ask me about. That certainly is the only thing we talked about.
That's not the only thing you talked about.
No, that is the only thing we talked about. In my mind, if anybody thinks that Russian collusion is off the table, they haven't visited with the Mueller team.
Was there Russian collusion?
Of course not. I mean, I think that they're looking down the avenues of all the evidence that they're putting together. I'll tell you, they know more about the Trump campaign than anybody that worked there. And they know more about what I did in 2016 than I do myself.
Well, I hope so.
They really do.
They spend a lot of money and a lot of time looking into it.
They have.
So what are they looking at specifically? Like, what did you learn? Where do they think the collusion took place?
I don't really want to interfere with the investigation. I was warned about that.
They warned you not to talk about it.
Well, they warned me to be careful about interfering with
exercising your freedom of speech. Well, they're not for that, is that right?
I get that, but my attorneys...
I get that. It's the center of our country.
I get that, but I'm just saying my attorneys also asked me to be careful about this, but I can tell you they're looking...
So they're threatening and intimidating you, basically, it sounds like.
I'm not going to be friending them on Facebook today, if that's what you're asking. I don't find them to be very friendly people. What's it like to live in a country
where, having not been charged or convicted of any crime, a prosecutor can threaten you to shut up in public?
It's not nice, but I can tell you that it's nothing compared to the $125,000 in legal bills that I've stacked up for nothing. It's nothing compared to the death threats that my family and I are getting. It's nothing compared to the piece of a sniper rifle that came in the middle of my wife last month. It's nothing compared to the way that they're trashing my family. What's happening to me and my family is happening to many other people in this investigation, and I'm just a witness. I can't imagine if somebody's a subject or a target what they're going to go through. But I can tell you this.
Wait, can I just back up for one
Sure.
second? Since you just spoke to the investigators today, when they suggested, in the way that the mafia suggests, maybe you shouldn't do that. What do you think the penalty would be if you ignored that suggestion?
I don't think there would be any penalty, but I think I might be called back for a little visit. And every time I come to Washington for this bogus investigation, whether it's the Senate, the House, or whatever, I get to pay another $20, $25 grand.
So they just bankrupt you. That's no big deal.
Not just me. I think other people too. I mean, a tin cup isn't a good look, but I've had to open a GoFundMe page. I mean, I certainly didn't sign up for this when I went to work for the Trump campaign, and I will never, ever work on another Republican campaign for as long as I live. I mean, and I think that's part of this, Tucker. I think this is a punishment strategy. I think they want to destroy the president. They want to destroy his family. They want to destroy his businesses. They want to destroy his friends so that no billionaire in, let's say, 15 years wakes up and tells his wife, you know what, the country's broken and only I can fix it. His wife will say, are you crazy? Did you see what happened to Donald Trump and everybody around him? So that's what this is about.
So they've so intimidated you, and again, they're not charging you with anything. There's no allegation that you committed a crime. but they've so intimidated you that you can't talk about your conversation on this show right now, and you're retiring from campaign politics forever.
I'm never going to work on a Republican campaign again unless somebody legally indemnifies me. Clearly, these lawsuits after the fact are the new Democratic strategy. When you lose, you still win. I don't think anybody should work on a Republican campaign again unless they're legally indemnified. I think if you do, you're crazy. My legal fees are going to be at least $125,000. That's more than I make in a year. That's more than where I live in East Aurora, New York. That's more than most people in my town make. And I don't know how we're going to pay that off, me and my family. But that's Washington. That's New York.